Hello, 911. What is your emergency?
We need help. Please, send paramedics to BlueSea. The Orca has the trainer, Elise. She's in the water. There's blood. People are screaming. Please, hurry.
Stay on the line. Is she out of the water yet?
No, Keyla won't let go. She's not coming back up. Oh my God, there is so much blood. What began as a sunny afternoon of family entertainment turned into horror before thousands of spectators. It was April 11th, 2021, a warm Sunday. Families packed into the stands of BlueSea Marine Park, children clutching balloons, parents balancing popcorn and soda, everyone waiting for the same thing, the star attraction of the park, the Orca show. For years, this had been the centerpiece of BlueSea's promise of wonder, a chance to see up close what few would ever see in the wild. A 6-ton killer whale leaping into the air just meters away, its trainer smiling alongside. That afternoon, all eyes were on one woman, Elise Moreau. At just 30 years old, Elise wasn't just a performer. She was the face of the show, the senior trainer everyone knew. She had grown up dreaming of working with whales, and to many, she seemed fearless, the perfect blend of skill, beauty, and showmanship. And beside her, the star of the pool, Keyla. Massive, powerful, black and white, like a living thunderbolt. A female orca weighing nearly 6,000 pounds, towering above the water with every rise. The crowd cheered as the music swelled. Elise waved to the audience, smiling, her wetsuit glistening under the spotlights. Children leaned forward on the rails, pointing with wide eyes. Tourists raised their phones high, ready to capture a moment they would never forget. The announcer's voice boomed through the loudspeakers. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to witness the power and grace of the ocean's greatest predator, Keyla. And then, to the delight of thousands, the gates opened. A wall of water exploded into the air as Keyla surged into the pool, her tail slapping the surface like thunder. Gasps echoed through the arena. Applause erupted like a wave. Elise dove gracefully into the water, swimming alongside the giant animal she had trained for years. To the crowd, it was magical. A woman and a whale, perfectly in sync. But no one knew that within minutes, this spectacle of beauty and entertainment would twist into one of the most shocking tragedies ever witnessed in front of a live audience. Before we take you deeper into this chilling story, I want you to pause for just a moment. If stories like this matter to you, if you believe that lessons from tragedy should never be ignored, then here's how you can help. First, subscribe, so you never miss the truth behind events the world needs to remember. Second, like this video, because every single like pushes this story further, so more people can see it. And third, share it with your friends, your family, and your community. When you share, you're not just spreading a video, you're spreading awareness. It was a packed arena. Nearly every seat was taken. Families leaned forward with anticipation. Children waved brightly colored balloons, and the roar of excitement echoed off the concrete walls. The smell of popcorn drifted through the air. The sun glared off the turquoise pool, and music thundered from the loudspeakers. Then she appeared, Elise Moreau, confident, smiling, commanding the audience with practiced ease. She waved, and the crowd erupted. Cameras flashed like stars. Parents lifted their children onto their shoulders, eager to give them a better view. Elise had performed this routine hundreds of times, but today, her energy seemed brighter, her smile wider. She moved with grace and control, signaling to the star of the show. The gates opened, and with a thunderous splash, Keyla burst into the arena. 6 tons of muscle and instinct, a living giant surging through the water. The crowd gasped, then clapped in unison as the orca soared out of the pool, water raining down on the front rows. Children shrieked with delight, their laughter echoing as they wiped the spray from their faces. For 15 minutes, everything was perfect. Keyla spun in the water, balanced gracefully, then slapped her tail in rhythm with the music. Elise stood at the edge of the pool, her body language confident, her hand signals precise. Every movement was met with a flawless response. The audience was spellbound. Some filmed every second. Others just sat frozen, wide-eyed, unable to look away. It felt like magic, like a bond between woman and whale forged in trust and respect. But magic can turn in an instant. As Elise prepared for the final sequence, something subtle shifted. The crowd couldn't see it, but staff later said Keyla's behavior was different. Her movements less smooth, her breathing harsher. And then, without warning, Elise slipped into the water. At first, the audience clapped, thinking it was part of the routine. The music swelled. Some children pointed excitedly, waiting for her to resurface with a smile. But when the seconds dragged on, and Elise did not reappear, the cheers turned into uneasy murmurs. And then, the truth began to unfold. What the crowd thought was entertainment became a nightmare. In an instant, Keyla's behavior snapped. The 6-ton orca surged forward with startling speed, clamping her massive jaws around Elise's waist. There was a sickening thud as the woman's body bent unnaturally under the force. Gasps rippled through the arena, quickly turning into shrieks of horror. With terrifying strength, Keyla dragged her beneath the surface. One moment Elise was smiling in front of thousands. The next, she was gone, swallowed by a wall of churning blue water. Panic spread through the stands. Parents covered their children's eyes. People cried out Elise's name. The once electric energy of the show was now shattered, replaced by the unmistakable realization that this was no performance. Keyla's immense tail thrashed, sending waves crashing into the audience. The front rows were soaked, but no one cheered now. The water wasn't just water anymore. Every churn carried the dread of what was unfolding beneath the surface. Then, Elise surfaced. Her face broke the waterline, her mouth open, gasping desperately for air. She reached upward, her eyes wide with shock and terror. But before rescuers could reach her, Keyla yanked her back down. The whale's jaws locked, her head shaking side to side with brutal force. The crowd's screams grew louder, echoing through the stadium like a chorus of fear. Staff rushed to the poolside. Trainers screamed commands, slamming the water, signaling frantically for Keyla to release. Ropes were thrown. Nets dragged across the pool. Nothing worked. Keyla ignored every order, every command she had been trained to obey. The orca had turned from performer to predator. The audience could only watch in stunned paralysis as the battle between human and beast unfolded before them. Every time Elise resurfaced, her cries were swallowed by Keyla's violent thrashing. Every second felt like an eternity. The once pristine water was now frothing, stained with streaks of red. Spotlights reflected off the crimson foam, illuminating a scene of chaos no one could have imagined when they bought their tickets that afternoon. It went on, not for seconds, but for minutes. Long, agonizing minutes. Elise struggled, arms flailing, body twisting, lungs fighting for air, only to be pulled down again and again. The Orca show had transformed into a living nightmare. Thousands of witnesses, frozen in horror, forced to watch a beloved trainer's final moments play out in real time. The arena that once echoed with applause now thundered with screams. If you're watching this now, don't just scroll past. This is your moment to respond. We've seen how quickly joy can turn into tragedy, and that raises difficult questions. Should shows like this still exist? Should orcas, apex predators, be performing for human entertainment at all? I want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments what you believe, because your voice could be the beginning of change. And here's how you can make that change louder. Subscribe so you don't miss future investigations like this one. Like this video so the platform pushes this story further, reaching more people who need to hear it. And share it with your family, your friends, on your social media. Every share is another set of eyes, another conversation started. Together, we can turn heartbreak into awareness, and awareness into action. By the time emergency responders arrived, it was too late. 30-year-old trainer Elise Moreau, beloved by colleagues and adored by audiences, was pronounced dead at the scene. The music had stopped. The crowd was silent. An afternoon that began with joy and laughter ended in a nightmare no one could forget. Thousands of people filed out of the stadium, many of them still in shock. Parents held their children tightly. Some covered their faces with jackets, trying to shield them from the chaos. Others clutched the very tickets they had bought for what was supposed to be a family memory, now wishing they had never come. The trauma was instant. Many children who were there that day would later need counseling. Families who came for joy went home haunted. And beyond the arena walls, questions spread like wildfire. Why, in 2021, were trainers still swimming with orcas? Why were these massive predators, apex hunters of the ocean, still being used for applause and profit, despite decades of warnings, near misses, and even deaths? The public reaction was immediate. Social media exploded with outrage. News outlets ran the story non-stop for days. Marine experts, activists, and even former trainers demanded answers. How many tragedies would it take before the industry admitted the truth? Orcas are not performers. They are not pets. They are apex predators, powerful, intelligent, unpredictable. For Elise's colleagues, the pain was unbearable. They lost a friend, a teammate, a woman who had dedicated her life to working with animals she loved. For her family, the grief was indescribable. And for the audience who sat frozen that day, the images would never fade. An entire stadium had become unwilling witnesses to the cost of captivity. Elise's death forced the world to look again at the reality of marine parks. Behind the smiles, the splashes, and the carefully choreographed tricks, there is risk, danger, and tragedy. And perhaps the most haunting question of all, was this death preventable? The answer, many would argue, is yes. Elise's death was not an isolated tragedy. Across the globe, from Spain to Florida, from Canada to the Canary Islands, trainers have been injured, maimed, and killed by captive orcas. The names and dates change. The parks change. But the pattern remains the same. Orcas do not belong in tanks. Humans cannot control them. And every performance is a gamble, with tragedy. Experts have warned us for decades. Orcas in the wild travel up to 100 miles in a single day. They dive thousands of feet, live in tightly bonded family groups, and communicate in complex dialects. Now compare that to Captivity, a concrete tank, barely longer than their own body, shared with strangers from different pods, cut off from the open ocean. The result? Stress, aggression, psychological trauma, and, in the worst cases, deadly outbursts. The list of victims is long. Dawn Broncho in Florida, Alexis Martinez in Spain, Countless trainers injured by sudden charges, bites, and pulls. Each incident should have been the final warning. Each life lost should have been the moment the industry said, "Enough." But the shows went on. The tickets kept selling, and tragedy kept repeating. Elise Moreau's story is not just about one woman and one whale. It is about the cost of ignoring nature's power. It is about the illusion of safety, the danger of profit-driven entertainment, and the belief that captivity is harmless fun. But harmless, it is not. Every trick, every splash, every cheer is built on a lie, and sometimes that lie costs a human life. Elise's death is part of a bigger story, one that forces us to confront who we are and how we treat the world's most powerful creatures. If Elise's story shook you, don't let it fade away with the closing credits. Her life, her final moments, carry a message we cannot ignore. To humanity, the lesson is clear. When we try to shrink the ocean into a tank, we are not taming nature. We are breaking it. And when nature breaks, it strikes back. We must remember that orcas are not performers, not props, not toys for our entertainment. They are apex predators, rulers of the sea, and they deserve respect and freedom. To trainers, the lesson is harder but more urgent. No matter how much you love these animals, no matter how deep your bond, you are never in control. You are working with creatures whose instincts and power outweigh every whistle, every signal, every smile. The danger is always there, and no routine is worth a human life. Now, here's how you can honor Elise and help prevent this story from repeating. Subscribe, so you don't miss the stories that shine a light on the truth behind captivity. Like this video, because every like pushes awareness further into the world. Share it with your friends, your family, your community. Share it with those who still believe captivity is harmless fun, because one share might open a mind, and one conversation might save a life. Behind every cheer, every splash, every painted smile, there could be another tragedy waiting to happen, unless we choose to act.